again we have the satanic Illuminati around the world.
Weren't you mentioning earlier when we hit a break the Astors and their symbol being the dragon?
Oh, yes. I have a picture on their estate. They have a building, an exterior building, and I believe it must be the chapel where they conducted ceremonies. And there you will see their great emblem of the Astor family. And what is it? Yes, it's a dragon. Remember, even the Ouroboros serpent, the one that swallows its tail, meaning we shall conquer the whole earth. It's really a dragon serpent. And so everywhere you go, serpents, horns, devils.
Now you remember that Anderson Cooper is one of the heirs to the Astors. And then we've got the other one, Tucker Carlson is a heir to another one of the big families, but you never hear that on the news, so it's still these same people in power. Speaking of Catholic churches, you've got a lot of big Protestant ones, too. I want to go over some of those. But on page 463, and I'm showing the camera this right now, you have Pope Benedict said Mass at this Illuminist design Catholic church in Poland. And, I mean, this is an all-seeing eye pyramid with rays coming out. And the whole thing, I mean, it is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that is very interesting there on page 462, actually, Pope Benedict saying Mass. And you can tell, look at this church, it looks like something from outer space. It's in Poland. They have a new Catholic church called the Cathedral of the Angels, but it must be the Dark Angels in Los Angeles that has all kind of satanic symbology to it. And, of course, there are the Protestant churches as well. You know, we mentioned the Episcopal Church. The Church of in New York City, the largest cathedral there is St. John the Divine. And, wow, they actually had a Buddhist statue implanted in the sanctuary for a while, and a statue where the cross and crucifix were behind the altar. They put up Christa, a goddess statue on a cross.
Now, what about Oral?
Blaspheme Jesus Christ.
What about Oral Roberts?
Well, the whole university, Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts is a 33rd degree Mason. By the way, he's always voted Democrat, whether it was Bill Clinton or whoever. He's always voted Democrat, and he is a 33rd degree Mason. And when you study, and I have about 3 or 4 pages of Oral Roberts University, you'll find even the praying hands are built in the form of a pyramid. You'll see these monuments that look like praying hands, but the hands are in a strange formation. There's stars, there's circles, there's the sun sign atop the tower. Everything to indicate the Illuminist Masonic nature of Oral Roberts University. I'm sorry to say, even the Oral Roberts University Medical Center is built in that format. In fact, it's sort of a sex sign. I also have a picture of Oral Roberts with Jean Dixon. He was a big friend of the psychic astrologer Jean Dixon and sought her out for advice. Oral Roberts once said that he had the healing power he claimed, because he was part Indian in his bloodline. And he said, the Indians have this special power because they're connected to the earth. Here again we have the god of nature. And, of course, the god of earth is actually this god Poseidon or Neptune, whose statue is on the cover of my book with his horns, with his satanic serpent spitting in front of him. And by the way, there's also, that's the great fountain where Neptune or Poseidon, the god from under the earth, remember, as above, so below, he comes up. The fountain represents the chaos of earth, the chaotic seas. And here comes up Poseidon. This is in front of the Library of Congress. Now, that represents the collective wisdom of the United States people. And does this devil that comes up out of the sea represent America? I don't want it to be so. And I think for the average citizen, it is not so. This is the elite Illuminati that are foisting this on us, Alex.
Well, I was at the National Archives, and the security guards ran out and threatened to arrest us for being there, but it had every religion on earth and every god and goddess, including Satan, but no Christian or Judaic gods. And we were there for about 20, nothing. Sorry, go ahead.
That's true. That's true. There are all these pagan gods and goddesses all over Washington, D.C. I want to make a statement here.
Well, okay, we'll do that after the break, Tex, but I want to come back after the break and get to that statement. But right now, behind the scenes, I want to talk more about the layout of D.C., so we'll come right back with that statement. We'll be right back. Okay.
Have one of those.
I'm going to go back to Tex now behind the scenes, PrisonPlanet.tv, folks. We'll come back and make that statement to the full audience in 4 minutes, and then, Tex, you can have a break at about 10 at the bottom of the hour, okay?
Okay, no problem at all.
Okay, you're awesome. This is incredible. I'm looking at your book on page 392, and there's a lot of maps of this. And again, the designer of D.C. admitted it was occultic, but you've got the owl, you've got the Capitol in his belly, you've got all these things happening, the skull and crossbones. Can you speak about that?
That's right. The owl of Minerva. Minerva was another being much like Athena. And Athena, by the way, is the owl goddess, the goddess of wisdom, so-called. She's in stone at the Capitol building, at the very top of the pediment. And this same goddess, by the way, is on Wall Street in New York City at the New York Stock Exchange building, which is built in the form of a great Greek temple. But back to the Owl of Minerva, the U.S. Capitol and its environs, the streets are laid out in the form of this magical night-bird sacred to the goddess Minerva. Amazing thing. So, by the way, there's also the Skull and Bones in Washington, D.C. And the entire city itself, on page 391, you'll see Rothschild's hexagram, a six-pointed witchcraft hexagram on the street layout of Washington, D.C. And there's also the blazing star of Freemasonry and the occult, which is a pentagram, a five-pointed star, hidden in the street layout. So everything, they believe that these give the city tremendous occult powers, which they can use to harness this occultism to usher in the new world order that the Illuminists desire. So that they have built Washington, D.C. as a great city of Illuminati mystery. Now, everything is done numerologically, occultly, astrologically. For example, the great goddess atop the Capitol. Now, the Capitol building was built in the early 1800s, but would you believe they waited till the occult numerological year of 1860? Because the number 18 has three sixes in it, and then there's the six. A great occult numerological year when they finally mounted the great goddess atop the Capitol of the United States. And by the way, this was right at the beginning of the Great Civil War. And I believe the Civil War could have been fought partially as a great human sacrifice of blood to the gods of the ancients, the mystery religion. And so this is why they waited, and then they began this great, horrible catastrophe of the U.S. Civil War. And there then, when President Lincoln actually was president, the Masons, with a great ceremony, built the great goddess.
And by the way, they don't hide this. The Druids and other groups come out at Stonehenge, come out to Obelisk in Texas, England, in D.C., and do ceremonies of it. In fact, you have a article from the mainstream news on page 386, Circle of Harmony. Women perform a Taoist meditation at the 10th annual prayer vigil of the earth at sunrise in Washington, D.C., and they're doing it there at the Great Obelisk. I mean, all the occult groups know this, but then they all want us to be atheists. You notice these occultists that run things tell you there's no God, there's no religion, it's all bull, but meanwhile, they're all obsessed with it. So for the